Hey, welcome back. Hope you're doing alright. I know I've been absent for quite some time overall on my channel, but as of late, I also sadly found myself getting a little bit sick, but it's nothing bad or extreme. It just takes a bit of time for me to meditate through it and mostly let my body rest, because otherwise I might be pushing it a little too far for myself overall, which might then become unhealthy, of course. Usually when sickness does occur, which rarely happens for me, but I once heard it said that, when you're sick, even though you're generally not sick, maybe it can be a sign that you've been pushing yourself either psychologically or physically too much, and your body is basically forcing you to take a step back. And I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what I've been feeling like over the last few months. I've been kind of going up and down myself in my private life, especially with the pandemic times, because we can't really deny that going on, and it's not always the fun the most fun experience, especially with some of the new restrictions and stuff. But that is all besides the topic for this video. But I just want to make it clear real quick why I have been a little bit absent as of late. But other than that, everything is fine with me, and I hope everything is fine with you in your part of the world. Hopefully you're not sick or anything, and you're just doing fine, and keep it going, because the new year is also arriving and we can always work on improving things in our lives. And the most important part, or one of the most important elements of doing this, is to understand how thought can change or improve your life. Now, this is a very interesting subject to me personally. It has been for many years, and it's something that you can never study enough, because the thought itself, the power of thoughts and the way we think, generally speaking, for most people is not something they really pay attention to. So they go through life and their thought processes are in an automatic response to the world itself, and they're not really aware that if they would play a little game here and deliberately change the way they think about things, that they might be able to actually physically change or improve the very life that they're living. Now, why is that so? Why would thought have that power? Well, we can readily discover why this power is real by analyzing always ourselves. I mean, that's something that I keep mentioning throughout my videos, because it's the fastest way to wisdom, to actually analyze your own mind, because that is where you will find most of the answers you'll need. That's also the gateway through cosmic consciousness that can be called God. So you will really get wisdom if you understand your mind and know how to work with it. Now, the way thought can change or improve your life, whatever you want to pick for it, is because our whole behavior in and of itself is driven by the way we think, and usually we don't realize this. But again, if you were to analyze yourself and things don't seem to improve in your life, or they seem stuck, they don't seem to change for the better, what you're going to find, if you're really honest with yourself and look inwardly deep enough, is that the way you're thinking about things is not really beneficial at all. It might be contradicting entirely. You might, for whatever reason, think in very negative terms concerning your life or the things you want to improve. Because you're thinking in a negative way about it, either consciously or subconsciously, what's going to happen is that your behavior itself is not really going to harmonize with the change that could be yours had you aligned yourself in mind with the good you desire. So in other words, if I want to improve something in my life, but then I think about it in a negative way, if I keep complaining about it inside my mind, if I keep saying stuff that unmotivates me in my mind, if I think about it in ways that just doesn't really excite or motivate me at all, well, then I won't really feel like acting upon anything either, physically speaking, and so therefore we stay stuck if we don't watch out. Now, if you start to think more optimistically about your life, if you start to think more along the lines of, yes, I can. I may not know exactly how I can improve this or achieve this entirely yet, but I know the potential is there, because the potential of consciousness is pretty much, as far as we know, unlimited. There doesn't seem to be a clear limitation to the mind other than when we start to think. Now, this is very interesting also. You see, there is no limit to the mind, to your mind. There's no limit to your consciousness. You can think anything you want to think. Again, this is always a huge point to make. But it is when you start thinking about something that the mind becomes limited in a way. So basically, let's say you were to think to yourself, I want to make $10 million. That might be a lot of money. To me, it would be a lot of money. I've never had that in my bank account, to be honest. But it's also not something in particular I desire in order to feel happy or anything either. But some people, it's really important for them to have that kind of money, for example, because it's their greatest heart's desire, right? Well, you could start thinking along those lines, and ideas start to develop on how you potentially could make that money. But it's also a limitation right then and there, because if you think of 10 million, you're blocking out all the other amounts of money you could potentially make. So basically 10 million, 100 million. I know the higher we go, the crazier in a way it might sound, but that's where thought actually creates limitations for us in our lives. So we better make sure, again, that we think in a way that is most important to us, that makes the most sense to us personally about how we want to live, what our life will be about. So again, if you then want to change something in your life that isn't currently to your liking, which I think we can all think of certain things at times where we're like, would like to change or improve that because I don't like it anymore the way it's going. Well, then you have to change the way you think about it. You have to go and start thinking about what that change or improvement would be about instead, to become very clear inside your consciousness about what it would be about, so you have something to focus upon and then dedicate your conscious energies towards. And as you do so, you'll start to become compelled physically to act differently in a way that will be conducive, that will be helpful in order to manifest this change or improvement in your life. So really think about it. The way you think determines how you're going to act physically in your life. This shows you how important it is to actually take control of this process, to become consciously aware of it throughout your days. At first it might be intimidating or overwhelming because, we're not saying that you have to pay attention to every thought, every second of your day, because there's like a lot going on inside our minds that we're completely unconscious of, that we're not aware of basically. So it's not really that deeply that we have to go, but we do want to have this main sort of theme clear for us from which we operate. So are we operating from an optimistic frame of mind, or are we operating from a pessimistic frame of mind? And then analyze. If you were optimistic, what kind of thoughts would you be thinking about your life and your goals, all the areas of your life? But also ask yourself, if your mind were to be pessimistic, what kind of thoughts would you be thinking about everything in your life? And you're going to discover that the way you think really is going to determine how you're going to physically act in this world. And this is how thought can change or improve your life. You're going to have to take control of it to a certain extent, but not too extremely. You don't have to worry that you have to control 100% of your entire consciousness and everything in there, but you do want to control the main theme of your consciousness, so to speak, the main sort of way it's operating. And we should try and work always on keeping it as optimistically as possible, because optimism is the real energy that moves you to action, that gets you to go, to make stuff happen, that makes you excited in a good way, where you're like, life is worth living, because we don't want to lose track of that. If we lose track of that attitude that life is worth living, then we're going to stagnate and we're going to get stuck. And this happens to the best of us at times, where we might, for whatever reason, lose track of what we really desire and wanted along the way, but we can always get back to it by analyzing carefully how we're thinking and then adjusting our thinking accordingly. You might be wondering, well, what thoughts should I be thinking then in order to improve my life? I don't even know where to begin with my thinking. Well, the simple thing you have to do is first to ask yourself, what do you want to change? Or what do you want to improve in your life? If you have an area in mind, then ask yourself, okay, what kind of change am I looking for? What would it look like? Is it the financial area, or is it the health area? Is it the relationship area? Is it the business area? Once you get that clear, you have something to think about. Then you can start thinking along the lines of, how could I make this improve then? what can I do? What should I be doing right now from this day forward in order to improve this area? It might take a while before you get the clear ideas on what to do in order to actually progress in life, but as you keep this thinking going, if you keep excited and curious about how you could actually do it, your thoughts will start to expand in that direction, and you'll start to develop and get ideas that will help you to move forward. And then you will clearly be able to tell in your own life that the way you've been thinking has been determining the quality and direction in which you go, physically speaking. And that is one of those great metaphysical secrets that all of humanity should know about, because it would instantly blow away all the negativity if everybody obeyed that law. But of course, that's not how the physical world over here works. Everybody's at a different stage of spiritual mental evolution. So if you're ready for this kind of evolution of consciousness, well, then I'm sure you'll take this message to heart. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. And I'll see you very soon on the next video.